access to recreation. It's about access to the things people care about. Transportation defines so many of our communities. What it looks like, how it operates, how it functions. Does its downtown work? That's really a function of how that transportation system works. Does the train station fit in with it? Does it make sure that it's a part of the community and not just a place where people get off and pick up their dry cleaning and go home? How does that transportation system add value? Chris Reed, who's my deputy secretary, was the director of highways when I was at CMAC, and we had a conversation, and she said, you know, Randy, they're my state highways. And I said, yeah, Chris, they are, but there are main streets. And we have to think of them like that. We have to think about how we move people and goods in a regional and a sub-regional manner, but how we utilize those main streets of commerce in your communities to grow your towns, to grow your communities, to grow your cities. We also have to think more broadly about alternatives to the car. My kids aren't going to travel the way that I travel. They don't want to. And we've got to make sure that we have options. We're going to have to make sure that public transit works and it works well, that we connect with our passenger rail systems, that we have walkable communities where people can walk and bike and get to places in a way that they want to, and not defined by the way the street grid and the street system happens. It's not just here. Every community that I've been in, from Macomb to Champaign, has said transit has to work in their communities. It has to be an option for people today, not just tomorrow, but today. And beyond that, in our rural communities, it's a big concern for people who, if my mother can't drive anymore, she still needs to get to the doctor. And how do we make sure that happens, and how do we grow those alternatives? We have challenges, don't get me wrong. We have gotten into a habit of boom and bust cycles of transportation funding. We do a capital bill, and we do a lot of work for 5 or 6 years, and then we get to the cliff, and we don't do much at all. It's not good for the way we have to do business. It's not good for our local government partners who can't plan on the resources they're going to get. They're not good for our construction partners who can't decide if they need to hire people, who can't afford to buy equipment because they don't know what tomorrow brings. We've got to get away from that. We've got to find a new sustainable way to fund transportation, and that's what we want to talk about a little bit with you today. We're at that cliff right now in Illinois. We knew this was coming. This is not a result of some budget snafu. When we did Illinois Jobs Now, we bonded all that money, and the bonds are gone. And now we have to think about what we're going to do tomorrow, because we are at the cliff and have to decide where we're going to head from here. We do pretty good at borrowing in Illinois. We know how to do it. But if you only take one phrase away from today, from me, I'd like it to be pay as you go. We need to have a mechanism where we fund the maintenance of this vast system that we have on a regular basis and don't count on these boom and bust cycles. You don't bond money for maintenance. You get money and you pay for it for 25 years, and in that 25-year period, you have to rebuild the road 3 times. That doesn't make any sense, and we've got to find a way to make sure that we take these peaks and valleys of funding out and have a sustainable way to do that. When we did Illinois First in 2001, we told people that if we didn't do something soon, we would have 3,000 miles of Illinois roadway that would need immediate repair. We are in the midst of our 2015 to 2020 program. At the end of this program, if we don't find some revenue and we don't find a new way to invest, we will have 5,000 miles of roads that need immediate assistance. We'll have countless bridges that will be inadequate. Our ports, which already can't accommodate the kind of vessels that are going to want to come in, are not going to be adequate. Our rails and our buses will deteriorate. Our airports won't meet our needs. We need to find a new way, and we need to find it soon. Governor Rauner talks about fixing transportation funding for a generation, not for a 5-year period. And that's the conversation I would like you all to have today as we think about how we invest in our infrastructure. Having said that, as Mary Sue mentioned, we have a general revenue problem in this state, and we've got to fix that. The General Assembly and the governor made some hard decisions to fix the FY15 budget. They're going to have to make even tougher decisions to fix 2016, but unless we fix those, we can't even get to the conversation about capital that we know will drive tomorrow's economy and create tomorrow's jobs. So I urge you to support them as they move into this conversation about how to fix general revenue so we can have that conversation. what I want to do mostly with you is to talk about what you care about. And I've said it, we've tried this, and this is, I have to admit, this is the biggest room we've tried this in. But what we've done is ask people to tell us why this matters. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to your business? What does it mean to your community about transportation? What are we doing well? What are we not? We've said, let's not have it be about projects. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about projects. And so rather than talking about whether we should extend Rail Line X, let's talk about why that matters. What does it mean? Why should we make that investment? At the end of this tour, I will make a report to the governor and to the Illinois General Assembly about what I heard. And so I tell people, if you don't have anything to tell me, I don't have anything to tell them. So I'm hopeful we can have a conversation here for a little while about what this is and why it matters. And then we're going to have, after that, a very interesting conversation with a group of analysts that are going to take your thoughts a little bit further. So with that, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for being a part of this. And I'd like to open it up and have a conversation about what you think. Who wants to start this off?
Hey ladies, if you wear weaves or extensions and you don't already shop at her
Mr. Secretary John Trotta, it's good to see you. My thoughts on transportation infrastructure are a bit different than others. There's no question the roads and bridges and buildings and sewers are collapsing, but the human factor is important. We talk about broken, and no time left. In this state of ours, we have to do better. People every day have lost the opportunity for the American dream. People have lost family, lost their homes, and moved on. When we invest in infrastructure, we all know it creates a lot of jobs and opportunities. We're very fortunate in this state to have a governor and yourself pushing this program forward. But the need in the state legislature, if you're a person about to vote on this, they want to know, what does it mean to their people? They want to know that their region and their districts are taken care of. But that's really the human factor. When I talk to legislators, they've told me, we've heard about the collapsing bridges and the roads, but what else? Who in the community is going to come out and stand up and say, it's time for a change, it's time to invest, and it's time to put our people back to work? That's the way I look at it, and hopefully we can get that to resonate.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And people have asked me, so Randy, what have you heard new on this tour? And I've heard a lot new. I've heard some interesting things. But mostly it's been about those stories, John. It's been about the things that people tell me about why it matters. I was in Des Plaines last week at one of these, and an elementary school principal said, Randy, here's your problem. I have 4-year-olds on a bus for an hour each way on the way to school.
Whoa.
I said, that's just unacceptable.
Really?
That's a problem. That's what we have to solve.
Really?
It's not about
4-year-olds?
extending that road. It's not about a new transit line. It's about what this means. How does it make a
Too
difference
long.
in your family?
I mean, where you going to school
I have
at?
to leave work at 3 o'clock to get to my daughter's 5:30 soccer game. That's what matters, and I think that's the stories that we're hearing a lot of. I saw another one in the back.
These 4-year-old children have to go to the bathroom and stuff, don't they? What do they do when they got to go to the bathroom?
I'm Karen Lehman with
Them
Fresh
children
Taste,
peeing on themselves in the
and I
school
have the
or
pleasure
what?
of being part of the food group for
4-year-old
the
babies
Go
are
To 2040
taking,
plan, and also now with Farm Illinois, which is a report that will be released
that
in
make no sense.
May
4-year-old children,
19th,
they got a
which
bathroom
has
and
a strong
then
infrastructure component. And in
No,
that
they don't have
report, we
no
talk
bathroom.
about the importance of Chicago and connecting Illinois with the
sick
global
ass
economy,
shit.
but also some of the issues we face just even getting food into Chicago with the choke points around the outside. And so I want to signal that I think there's interest in figuring out how to manage some of those choke
And then
points
you
of
don't have.
local and regional.
And what
food
about
economy
water? They
and
got
serve
water.
consumers in
These
Chicago.
kids might want
I
some
just
water
wondered about
juice.
your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean,
You know
there's
what?
no question we have those
Okay,
points,
let me
and
help get
that's
us
where
off
we
here.
have to focus. We
Get
gotta
to the
focus
library.
on
That don't make no damn sense.
Congestion causes unreliability.
What kind of, where they
causes
going to
real
school
issues,
at? And, well,
whether it's
anyway,
right here in the
well,
metropolitan area across the state. I remember the work that you all did on the Go To 2040 plan, and you know, we
For
know
an
how
hour
to
is
work,
wrong
it's
for-
where
matter of fact, for
that
the wrong
distribution
people.
system works that makes
An
local food
hour
hard.
on the
And
road.
we got to work with them how to make that happen. That's
well, we know a lot of
partnership
them,
we've
they know they
create
got to
a better
pee at
way with our
home
local
then and
governments.
shit.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Linda Nguyen Perez with Jobs to Move America.
I guess they know that.
I wanted to
But
ask
see,
you and
you know what?
go back to the question about jobs, about how we can use, our infrastructure investments, in particular transportation, and think about how we use the purchase of our buses and trains to create manufacturing jobs for the region. In particular, given that the Pullman site has historically, meant so much to the region, how we think about reviving manufacturing jobs, creating middle-class jobs in particular for women, veterans, communities of color, low-income folks. Thank you.
Yeah, in my old position, which the other day I actually started by saying
I know this would be I tell these people got to keep their children home, use some homeschooling. Low income people gonna learn how to train their own children and read and write. But they ain't gonna go there and shot. Ain't no point. I want all these people here to keep their children. Oh, low income children gonna start staying at home and learning how to read and write. And being tested. Ain't no point in going up and then you go out through that and be shot or killed.
Specifically the transit pieces.
I know I'm a teacher.
When I was out.
Thank you, God, for going up and got my license back from K to 12 all areas. Gonna tell you the truth to do. And half of them might be scared going up in anyway.
But I gotta get people to work.
Some of the children scared to go to school. If you scared to go, don't send no child to school if he's scared to go. He ain't trying to learn nothing. No way, he's scared.
Accommodating to make sure that it fits the schedules that I have.
Don't demotivate children. No, you just find some way to make that child have a home schooling.
We have to have
the children that are scared, don't bring them children up in these schools scared. I'm hot at that.
And so we need to continue to figure out how to invest in that in a way.
Low income children, you say black, okay, these black children, y'all want to stay at home? They gonna say, yeah, well, stay at home and you're going to try to learn, sit down, read, write, and learn something.
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, my name is Ram Kumar from Arcadis. Some of the comments that you made were right on in terms of the changing needs of
Ben Carson's mother did it. If Sonia did it and didn't have but a third grade education, and she came out with the greatest neurosurgeon and on earth and the brother and attorney, if Sonia did it, like I got Dr. Martin, but she wrote. No child left behind because he is with me. She co-authored her and her cousin.
Population travel and meet their needs. And
we're going to do a sit-down
more we are seeing that in the budgets that come out.
It's time for the parents to step in. And the parents, see all that talk that the parents doing at the council, a lot of them step in doing some just sitting themselves down. Parents can teach. Can a parent teach their children basic ed? And yeah, a parent can do that. They sit on down. Parents can teach these children what they know. They know how to add. Most of them know how to add. Subtract, read, right? There's no point in going to school and you going too late. I mean, you're going to school, you have a gun factor, and then I could even put, I'm a member of the NRA, so we can stop that about the guns.
We need to use technology.
Okay, what happens? I'm a member of the
NRA.
NRA.
Understand in real time what their options are. People don't sit in traffic. We've got to give them the information.
Well, that's traffic congestion. I'm talking about transportation. Some of these people here just want to ride anyway, though. But if they want to ride, they have to be. If they want to ride anyway, some of them just want to ride in a big house down there. Why don't y'all make your cars small in the first place?
To make good choices. Bus tracker, train tracker here in Chicago.
Matter of fact, you don't need all that steel. See, y'all can go back to when you wasn't driving so reckless in the first place. Faster don't mean nothing because you ain't getting nowhere. But faster don't mean nothing. They ain't doing nothing but getting clogged up, being faster, and then more dangerous, being faster with steel. You gotta bring them wood cars. They had back in the old days with Charlie with the wheel on there.
And we need to get back into that race. I've talked a lot about IDOT in particular, and this is not just an IDOT issue.
I ain't worried about that Uber thing. The Uber thing ain't about nothing. The Uber thing is racist anyway.
And we're not.
The Uber thing don't come south.
We are going to be again, and this
Uber
is
thing is the racist type of north side thing they're trying to develop that ain't about nothing.
People smarter about how they're using our system. I'm with you.
I want a regular cab where I know I'm insured and everything. The people that know that who got insurance on, then no, I don't. I'm see like Benjamin Moore. He got an emblem, taxi, real taxi. Now I ain't trusting the Uber thing all that much.
More just as a taxpayer and a resident of the state.
Benjamin Moore, taxi, checker. You get back to the jitney,
initiative for a dedicated
up and down King Drive, jitney.
As a taxpayer and as a homeowner
what was that back in the day?
I'm happy to pay a higher income tax.
A quarter.
If I know that increment is
something
going
that was back in the day, it was a quarter.
Dedicated
up and down King
infrastructure
Drive.
across in the state. So I guess I would just push for that. I'm happy to pay higher taxes.
if I know that there's
Well,
going to be
ain't nobody happy to pay no higher
useful and
taxes.
sustainable benefit
They
to
don't have to
something
keep
that
taxes.
impacts
We're
every
not
single
happy to pay
person
no,
in the
don't
state.
start there, but we're happy to
So,
pay no
you
higher
mentioned the
taxes.
4-year-old
No,
going
you
to
might be
school
happy to
to a
pay a
senior
higher
trying to
taxes,
get
but a
to a
lot of people are
doctor's
not happy
appointment.
to.
For
People
me,
with
just
low
trying to get
income,
to
when
work.
you rich,
For my neighbors, for the value of my home,
or you
I'm happy
rich,
to pay higher
well,
taxes
you
if I
may
know
be,
that it's
ain't
going
nobody
towards
happy to
something
pay
that
no,
will
let me
benefit.
cut you, ain't nobody happy to pay no higher